Hello, you are listening to the Natural Healing Show for UK Health Radio. I'm your host, Catherine Carrigan, medical intuitive healer and Amazon #1 best-selling author. You can find out more about me and my work at catherinecarrigan.com and unlimitedenergynow.com. While you're there, definitely sign up for my newsletter so you can learn even more about how you can heal yourself naturally. Now, our guest today is Peg Donahue. Peg Donahue is a Feng Shui master and co-author of the new book, Money is an Energy Game. You can find out more about Peg Donahue and her wonderful work at her website, fengshuiconnections.com. And also the book has a website, moneyisanenergygame.com. Welcome, Peg Donahue.
Thank you, Catherine. It's really a pleasure to be here today.
Now, I agree with you that I love the title of your book, that money is an energy game, because everything is energy. You're a Feng Shui master. When you come in and you create Feng Shui plans for people, what you literally do is you manipulate the energy. And as a medical intuitive healer, I read the energy of people all over the world. And in my experience, there are a lot of people who have poverty consciousness. There are a lot of people who are participating in what I refer to as the cult of difficult, the largest cult in the world, right?
That's right.
And also people you may have past life vows of poverty and chastity. So when I'm reading at the soul level, I'm reading your past life vows, and what are these past life vows that you have that may keep you from experiencing prosperity and many other forms of abundance. So you co-authored the book, Money is an Energy Game. So what prompted you to write this book?
Well, early in 2001, I was learning about manifesting and studying prosperity, the science of prosperity and how it happens, and getting really deep into it. I was also learning Feng Shui at that time, and I had started my practice, and many people were coming to me to really figure out how to have more money and more prosperity in their lives. And along the way, I also met Madeline Gerwick, and we continued to study and take classes together. And then we decided to teach people how to cultivate prosperity for themselves. So we came up with a program, an 8-part program, 8 keys for the ultimately prosperous business. And we taught that for several years. And then it was our students who asked us to put together a course about language, about the words we use, because that's also very important. So that was the next phase. We called it the art of conscious language. And then we took it a step further, and we put together a program called Take an Energy Inventory for Prosperity. So this was a 6-part program just to notice, observe your own energy, different aspects of your energy over a 6-week period. And so we continued to teach those classes, and then we decided we wanted to take it to a larger group, and we put them together in a book. So we started this book about 2011. It took us 7 years to complete it because I was running my Feng Shui practice. Madeline is an economic astrologer, so she continues to do her astrology as I do my Feng Shui. So we put the book together over time. And if you think about from 2011 to 2018, 2019, the world changed very fast. And we have a lot of research in this book and a lot of anecdotes and stories about businesses and the like. And they kept changing. And so we'd go back and say, okay, now we need to update that section. So anyways, finally we put it together. At first we thought we might be a little bit ahead of our time. And then by the time it got published, it's like, people need to have this information. They need to know what it's all about.
Yes, and certainly in the past year, the rich have gotten richer.
Yes.
Sure, big time. And those who have now have more. And those who are already struggling are continuing to struggle. Often it breaks my heart, homelessness and poverty and
yes,
true hardship.
Yes, mine too. And so that's a result of energy. I know that, you know that in your work. And so that's what we're trying to bring really out to the world, to help people understand how their energy impacts, influences everything that happens in their life,
Now,
and including their health and their well-being.
for sure. Now, I'm sure that there are common reasons that people want to feng shui their home. So, relationships, they want to attract a new relationship, they want to attract more money. What are your top three favorite techniques for attracting money?
Well, the first one is feng shui. And so for your listeners, as I understand it, you pay attention to feng shui, you practice feng shui as well, or apply it to your home and your space. So in the Western system of feng shui, we use what's called a Bagua Map. And so just think of this as a tic-tac-toe board, a grid of 9 that we place over every space. Place it over your house, your business, your land, every room. And so that the back left corner from how you enter the space is what we call the prosperity area, or the prosperity corner. So this is in your house. It's also in your workspace. It's also in every room in your house. So I like to keep that very fresh, very active. One, remove all clutter. And everybody has clutter to some degree or another. Clutter is simply what you don't use and what you don't love. So we don't have to go through like a lot of iterations of, this is or is not clutter. If you don't use it or you don't love it, it's clutter, it's excess. So removing clutter. And then keeping the area fresh. So in the wealth area, we also apply the Asian system of the 5 elements. So the wealth area is known as a wood element. And water feeds wood. Think of the rain comes and waters the trees and waters the plants. So it feeds it, it strengthens it. So things that have a water element or a wood element really help to cultivate prosperity. Might be a vase of fresh flowers. It could be a beautiful crystal. It could also be a treasured item, something that you really like that reminds you of prosperity. So cultivating your wealth corner is a very good thing to do in that area. So so I work with feng shui regularly. So that's the first thing I would do. The second technique I like to use is called workshopping. And for your listeners that follow them, this is an Abraham Hicks technique. And so workshopping, I'll just break it down. Think of it as, spending 68 seconds a day, a little more than a minute a day, visualizing the outcome, the end result of what you want, not how you're going to get it or all the details in between. Skip over all that part. Just focus on having it, on the essence, on what it would feel like. And to do that, what you do is you get yourself into what I would call a high vibration state, a happy state. Visualize the end result of just having it and how you will feel. Get into that feeling state of what it would be like to have what you really want, or what you want to be, what you want to have, what you want to do. Focus on that and then hold that energy for 68 seconds. Or you can break it down and you can do it in increments of 17 seconds. 4 segments of 17 seconds. And you can do this throughout the day. So that's a great technique to get really in the habit of practicing, whether it's for a prosperity or anything that you would like to manifest in your life. So feng shui, workshopping process. And the third one is gratitude. It's really, just giving thanks and being appreciative. I like to write it down. And in fact, in the book, I have a worksheet. It's called My Daily Focus. It's my to-do list that I have used for years. And I've compiled it with many of these manifesting techniques. But I have room to do 9 items a day, and you can do more. But I used to have pages and pages of to-do lists. And that was it's really silly when you think about it, because no way you're going to get all of that done. And when I realized that, because I was carrying at the time, I have no time. And when I realized that was an affirmation, I had to let that go. And I simplified it all So brought it down to a 1-page list. Here's for me to do. I made a second column on the list. It's called for the universe to do. And I didn't realize it at the time, but when I would write things down, a few days later, I noticed that those things were getting done without me intervening. And it might be to contact somebody and they would call me instead of me calling them. Or just, an item that I wanted to complete. And then all of a sudden somebody else might do it, or it would happen. It's like, oh my gosh, that's really powerful. And then also on that worksheet, I have room for gratitude statements. So I write 6 a day on them. And so my favorite techniques are Feng Shui, workshopping, and gratitude.
Great information. And for our audience, I'd like to share a couple of techniques from my work. So on YouTube, I've made videos, and you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you look up Catherine Carrigan on YouTube, you'll find me. And years ago, I recorded a series of videos of hand mudras. Now, what are hand mudras? They're basically gestures that you can make with your hands. And one of the hand mudras is called Kubera Mudra. That's Kubera. So you can go to YouTube, look up Kubera Mudra, Catherine Carrigan. And this video that I made may have been watched like 55,000 times since I made it. And it's a hand mudra that you can do regularly for abundance, and you can use it in your meditation practice. And so look up Kubera Mudra. And then I also wrote a blog that contains a little 40-day prosperity affirmation. And this is a prosperity affirmation by the author John Randolph Price, I believe is his name. And it's an affirmation that I like to get people to record it in their own voice. So you get your smartphone, your iPhone or whatever, Android, and you record it in your own voice. And the reason it's important to record it in your own voice, it's because what you say to yourself that matters the most. And it takes about 4 minutes to, repeat the whole affirmation. So I've got an article. If you look up Kubera Mudra, Catherine Carrigan, the 40-day prosperity affirmation is there. So when I have clients who are stuck with their finances, I'll have them hold the Kubera Mudra and repeat this affirmation, or best yet, record it in your own voice and listen to it every single day for 40 days, and it shifts the energy. And one of the things, there's many wonderful things about this 40-day prosperity affirmation, but it asserts that you are not the source of your supply, that God, universal consciousness, is the source of your supply, that there's no person, place, or situation that's the source of your supply. And that the spiritual world is always providing everything we need. So there's a lot of really wonderful aspects to this 40-day prosperity affirmation, but it helps to, I find, reinstate trust in the flow. Right?
Well, that is awesome. And trust is so important. Just to suspend your disbelief. That's a great way to begin to cultivate trust.
Yes. And I also use the Abraham Hicks technique. And I can't remember, but when you visualize what you want, so for example, my books, I'm the author of 10 books. And I visualize my books literally going around the globe, many.
Oh, yes.
And you hold that thought, you visualize that thought, and it's supposed to be worth hundreds of hours of work hours, right?
It is. And to get into as pure a thought state as you can, just to hold on to that essence. So you're out there visualizing your books, circling the globe and people reading them and gaining value from them. And then you are cultivating joy within yourself at the same time.
For sure.
Yeah.
Now, Peg Donahue, Feng Shui master and co-author of Money is an Energy Game. What do you think really blocks someone's ability to attract money?
Well, I have found in my own practice that it's people's beliefs, these deeply held beliefs and these stories that we tell ourselves. Now, many of these beliefs are inherited. They come from our parents, our grandparents, generations. And so watching for those and understanding those, and then being willing to release those, from your body, from your cells. So one of the things we did in the books, I included a recording to an emotional freedom and healing tapping release that I did. And because that's one of the services that I provide. And so tapping helps to release the emotions that are trapped in your cells. So being willing to release those and then doing the tapping exercise, that's a big one. Also, to pay attention to the stories that you are repeating to others. Participating in gossip, that's a big one. Or you hear a story, or somebody will tell you a story of, well, oh, this happened to me. And then you'll come along and this happened to me, and you'll add to it or embellish it, and it keeps rolling. And I recommend observe those, but pull back. You don't need to contribute to those. You could reply with, I understand how you can feel that way. So you can express, empathy and be there, but don't take it on yourself, because that contributes to a downward spiral. And what you want to do is you want to keep your energy in an upward and an open spiral, so that it's happy, it's joyous. Now we're human, so our lives, throughout our lives and throughout a day, we're going to have ups and downs. And so there is Barbara Fredrickson wrote the book Positivity. I don't know if you've read that one, Catherine. So, she speaks in there about resilience, being able to, pick yourself back up, and the tipping point, 3 to 1. She did a lot of research on that. Malcolm Gladwell did a lot of research on that. The tipping point is 3 to 1. So when you realize you're having a bad experience, well, go and have it, but then pull out of it and focus on having 3 times as many good experiences as bad ones. And you don't want to stuff the bad ones inside. Let them out, let them emerge, but then really cultivate at least 3 times as many good ones, and that will counter that effect. Great. So it's really, the stories, the words, the experiences, paying attention. Yeah.
Now, in my work as a medical intuitive healer, and people are coming to me about money blocks, one of the things that I look at is, what archetypes are you living out? And there's specific archetypes that prevent you from being wealthy. So first of all, what's an archetype? An archetype is an aspect of your ego. It's a persona, okay? Right. So let me give you some examples of some archetypes that keep you from being wealthy. The first one is victim.
Yes, that is a big one.
It's huge, right? Because as long as you're playing the role of victim, you're going to keep playing the role of victim. Yes. And, lots of people think, oh, well, I'm going to get a lot of money from, I was in a car crash and I'm going to get money as a victim. Terrible idea, right?
It sure is.
And Peg is also agreeing with me. You really want to get out of that victim consciousness, because it's going to seep negatively into every area of your life, right? The next one, which a lot of people are living out, is slave.
Oh, that's a big one. Yeah.
This is absolutely heartbreaking to see. And you may think, oh, I'm not a slave, I got a job and so on. But, slaves, give their life energy away for practically nothing. Right. And unfortunately, if you look at human history, the slave archetype has been with us for thousands and thousands of years, right?
It sure has, and it's still here.
It's still here.
It's rampant, yes.
And Peg's absolutely agreeing with me, right?
Absolutely.
So slavery is wrong, but it's still happening, right? Big time. Another archetype that is, and it's similar to victim, but a little bit different, is poor me.
So, that's a big one.
Poor me. Oh, everything's, everything, poor me. Poor me always talks about being too busy, too tired, too overwhelmed, right? Nothing ever works.
Absolutely.
Again, I'm participating in the cult of difficult. Everything's difficult. So if you listen to your language, it's hard to make money. It's difficult to have my own business. It's whatever. you're in poor me, and you want to stop poor me. And another archetype that keeps you from being being wealthy is amateur. Like I
Mhm.
know people who've done their work for maybe 20 years and they're still playing at it, right? You
Yeah,
absolutely own your greatness.
you sure do. And I call it stepping into your own power.
Absolutely.
Work from a position of strength, and working from a position of strength will help you to emerge from being a victim or being a martyr. That's another one.
Yeah, like I'm a master healer. I've done my work for 28 years. Okay, Peg Donahue is a master feng shui, okay, practitioner.
Mhm.
You want to own your mastery. And as a person, as a human being, there's always things that you are uniquely gifted at, right?
Absolutely.
And I remember in my late 40s, somebody saying to me, Catherine, you're very good at all these things, but where you're off the chart, they said your work as a medical intuitive cannot be taught or learned.
Oh, that is awesome.
And you want to, as a human being, if you're listening to this and you realize you're in victim, slave, or poor me, you're like, what am I uniquely good at? I am so good at this. And everybody's always asking me to help me with this, right? It could be something like you're really good at helping people dress well, or you're really good at decorating, or you're really good at making people laugh. So find your mastery. Stop being an amateur. Stop playing at what you do. Oh,
Right. And so step into your own power. And when you step into your own power, then you can live a life that's filled with abundance. And abundance is different for everybody. It's not always about everybody being wealthy, all that, or being extremely rich. Not everybody wants that, but people do want happiness. Or there are different levels of money at which people are successful. Years ago, there was a sociological study, and they went around and they interviewed people about their abundance and how they felt. It turned out at every socioeconomic level, people felt they would be happy if they had what equated to 15% more than what they had. So from people at the low end of the strata to people, say high up in the clouds, everybody wanted more. They wanted more to be happy. And it turned out to be 15%. And so when you think about it, it's okay, well, what's preventing us from having that? And it's our beliefs, it's our blocks, it's these archetypes.
yes. And I just want to make a comment as a medical intuitive. You would not believe how many people's health issues all break down to money. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Well, because it creates so much stress.
Absolutely. And the top three causes of stress in the world are health, money, and relationships, right?
Yes.
But I end up clearing money issues so often. And what I noticed, so for example, I'll tell a story. So a couple of years ago, pre-COVID, my boyfriend and I, we were in Boston, and we went to the Museum of Natural History, and we were looking at David Rockefeller's beetle collection. So he lived till I think he was 100 and something. Well, what
Mhm.
he had health and he had money. And when you want to live a long time, and it's the same mindset, right? Long-term thinking is the same,
Absolutely.
right? Okay.
And
Now,
many people, that's a good point, the long-term thinking. I would say many people age out, right? They think, oh, now that, I'm 60 or I'm 65 or 70, I need to retire. I need to stop doing what I'm doing. And they do that. And then they're lost. They don't know what to do anymore. Like, what am I going to do? Well, how am I going to fill my days? But if you fill your days with your passion, with doing what you love, and have it be well-rounded, so you're giving attention to all areas of your life, then you can live a long time and you can live very healthy, as as an older
yeah.
person.
And the reason that your health and your wealth are completely 100% interconnected is because as long as you're struggling financially, you're still in survival mode.
Yes.
And as long
Yes.
as you're in survival mode, then you are pushing out the stress hormones, right? Right?
You certainly are. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's stress. So one of the third part of the book, we wrote this book in 3 parts. The first part is 8 keys for prosperity. And then the second part is the conscious language. The third part, we called it take an energy inventory for prosperity. And so what we do is we recommend that over a 6-week period, it doesn't have to be consecutive, or you can pick any part of it. But 1 week you monitor your sleep. And you just notice, you just use the worksheet and you just jot down, what time did I go to bed? What time did I wake up? What did I eat before I went to sleep? What was I watching? What was I thinking about before I went to sleep? You just follow the prompts and you just fill it out. And then at the end of the week, just notice the trends. So there's a week on sleep. There's a week on food. Food is not about going on a diet. It's not about counting calories. It's just keeping track of what you eat and when you eat it and how you feel. It's making the connection between what you eat and your energy. That's all it is. That's all we're asking you to do that week, is just notice. There's a week on emotions. What's going on? How are you feeling throughout the day? So you just log how you're feeling throughout the day and just, about what you're doing at those different times. There's a week on mental thoughts. We hear from people, oh my, I just can't get these things out of my head, or, these thoughts, I have trouble meditating because those thoughts, keep coming up. And so you just pay attention to those thoughts. There's a week on movement, on exercise. And exercise should be fun and joyful versus, oh, I have to go to the gym or I have to do this. Well, if you're feeling you have to do it, maybe that's not the right movement. And, find something that you're looking forward to doing on a regular basis. And then there's also a week on spirituality, on just noticing those patterns and the belief systems. And so just very simple. We call it take an energy inventory for prosperity, because these are all things that when you're in the flow and you're feeling good, you're eating well, you're getting exercise, you're cultivating prosperity and you're cultivating well-being, you're cultivating vibrant health. That's really what it's all about.
And Peg Donahue, you and I are complete in agreement about everything we've discussed so far, because even if you think about a business transaction, the person at the highest energy level is going to prevail, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And so I'm going to put a note about your services in my, I write a newsletter once a month.
Oh, you're so
and then just as a medical intuitive, clearing money blocks that I'll put in your website and all that, and send people to you, because once these blocks get cleared, then people can live much happier, much healthier, much more joyful lives. That's really what it's about, finding joy in every day.
Absolutely.
Even in this crazy world, we all know, things are topsy-turvy, but you still can find joy every day.
Now, Peg Donahue, let's go back to your book, Money is an Energy Game. Will you share for our audience, what are the 8 keys to a prosperous business?
Oh, certainly. So the first key is to cultivate a prosperous, a positive money vibe, to feel good about money. Because if you're saying, well, I don't want any money, or I don't need it, you are pushing it away from you. So to pay attention to that, to really cultivate a positive vibe about it, to feel good about it versus feeling bad about it. Attract it in versus pushing it away. The second one is to release your blockages to success. And so it's our belief system. It's the feelings that we have trapped within ourselves. It's what we have inherited from our parents and our grandparents and all of our ancestors. So to note that, like in my family, I grew up with, you have to work hard to be successful. And when I realized I was carrying that, it was like, oh my gosh, no wonder I'm working 70 and 80-hour weeks. Or no wonder I have a to-do list that's 4 pages long. that I will never get accomplished, and I would write it over and keep it nice and neat and, you know, check things off. And now it's like, it's so much easier. I changed it over to my work is easy and joyful. Yeah, and it's so much easier. And then the third one is to discovering quantum physics and the subtle effects of energy at work. So knowing it's in, so quantum physics is about the very small, you know, the very deep things. And so it's in the energy that all of this is happening. And it's fascinating when you become a student of energy, you just study energy. So I say the work is always on ourselves. It's not about other people. There's enough work, more as long as we're living, we have work to do. And so just use yourself, study yourself, and pay attention to how you're feeling and what the triggers are. Really notice those triggers, and then practice letting go of the triggers that are negative, that are weighing you down. And then the fourth one, we call it to tap into the alchemy of desired results. Alchemy, it's like magic. Things just happen. So when you are focused on the end result of what you want, magic happens. And so stay away from all the hows, because that's where a lot of the worry goes. That's where a lot of the stress goes. Or, gee, I'd really like this, but it's never going to happen. No, let go of that part. It might. It might. So just cultivate the, you know, hold the possibility loose. But, it might happen. Wouldn't it be lovely if this happened? That's what you can replace it with. Wouldn't it be lovely? The fifth one is called create with trust. Trust is huge. It's not like dipping your toe in. You have to put both feet in. You know, because if you're thinking, okay, I'm going to try this out. I'm not so sure, but I'm going to try this prosperity thing out. But if you're going to try it out, then a big part of you is saying, it might not work. And you better have a backup plan. It might not work. And so it's, you know, go all in and really cultivate it versus holding back because it might not work. The sixth one is to prosper and succeed with good timing. So my co-author Madeline is an economic astrologer. And so in here, in this chapter, we talk about some common patterns to pay attention to. One, do you know anything about astrology, or do you follow good timing, Catherine?
I read the energy.
Okay, you read the energy. So absolutely. And so the astrology is about the energy in the sky and the planetary energies. And so every couple of days, and when the moon changes signs or moves around, it gets into a pattern called void of course. And Madeline calls this a timeout. She said that's a time when we're meant to rest. We're not meant to push forward during that time. And so you're meant to pause. It's a good time to, you know, to pull back, but not make important decisions. Then every couple of months, the planet Mercury appears to back up in the sky. It's known as Mercury retrograde. Mercury is about communication. So the energy of that cycle is communications tend to get mixed up, or more accidents happen, or things go awry. So we point out that for everybody just to know that that's it. But there are very good things that can be done during Mercury retrograde periods. They're great periods for research, for writing, for redoing, or for renovating. I love those periods because you're handed the time really to take a second look at things and to pull them together versus, again, pushing out. So there are good times to push forward, and there are good times to pull back. And so we talk about good timing. We also have a chapter in there of how to optimize your office or how to optimize your workspace. So it's about the Feng Shui aspect, about the energy of your environment. So we have keys in there about how to set up your office, you know, put your desk in what we call a power position. So this is where you have support from behind you, you have open space in front, you have a nice clear desktop, you're sitting in a supportive chair. And we introduced the Feng Shui Bagua in there. So for people that want to learn a little bit about that, that's in there. And we also apply it to your home. And I have a chart in there called Bagua enhancements. So there's suggestions just to get you thinking about every area in your office, or every area in your workspace, or every area in your house. So so feng shui is something that's always in process. It's never done. Like people are like, okay, I feng shui my house, that's it. It's like, well, that's a start, because it's always in motion and everything's always in movement. So optimizing your office success. And the last key is to build your wealth, to put all of these principles into action and to cultivate your wealth and to take it forward with you. So you're cultivating it really for optimal health, optimal well-being, and success. And a big piece of this is knowing that you will always have more than enough resources. And they will come to you when you are ready for them.
Absolutely. And I love the idea of building your wealth. And, for example, myself, I've saved my entire life. I started saving when I was 22. I'm 62. My money works for me.
Yes, that's exactly what you want.
Yeah. So this is about smart investing. I had to tell a funny story because last year a client came to me. She had inherited $12,000 from her father. And she wanted to know, how should I invest it? She brought in literally a list of 5 pages of different companies she could put the money in the stock market. So I sat there, I tuned in, and she put the money in, she divided it up. I figured out how to divide it up. About 2 months later, her investment guys at Morgan Stanley called her up, and they said, I want you to know that you did better than all of our analysts at Morgan Stanley.
That is awesome.
I just had a big laugh about it. Because all I did was read the energy, right?
That is fabulous. That is such a great story.
Yeah, and I remember that, I remember when I studied medical intuition with a lady, one of the things she would do to practice, and I've never done this myself, she would go to the slot machines and just practice reading the energy, right?
Wow. And it's all in the energy.
It's all in the energy. So I love the title of your book, Money is an Energy Game. And so just realize you can read the energy, of anyone, anything, any business, any opportunity, right?
Absolutely. And I live at a lake. So prior to speaking with you this morning, I was out kayaking on our lake. And I love to go early in the morning, because early in the morning, the lake is very quiet and you can really feel the energy of it. And you can see under it, the water is quiet, or there might be quiet ripples, and you can really see the plant growth and the animal growth and the energy in the marshes. There's a heron that comes by in the morning. It's just so beautiful, just so calm. But then the energy shifts during the day as people get more active. There might be people out there with larger boats that are speeding by. So when they're speeding by, it's like speeding through life. You miss so much. Versus when you slow down, you can take more in.
Absolutely. And read the energy. Now, I love Peg Donahue, co-author of Money is an Energy Game, that you call your book an energy game. And many people, again, are in such survival mode about money that they really do need to look at this differently. What is the game aspect of your book, and how does the game work? I just love that you call it.
Okay, so the game aspect is you can do it your way. So we give, so the book itself, throughout the book, we have more than 100 tips, tools, and techniques to help you cultivate your money vibe, your prosperity vibe. So you can take any of those and make them work. So what we recommend when you play the game is to, one, keep it fun and keep it joyful. So decide on a goal. And we recommend that you start small. Just start easy, particularly if you're used to pushing things away, or you want, so decide what it is. Maybe you decide that, I want to develop a little bit more trust, in myself. So, or I want to change my language. I want to eliminate the negative language or the stories that are pushing money away. So it might be you're setting yourself up a game or a process where, for a week, you're really going to tune in and pay attention to what you say, and you reward yourself. You can decide on your prizes at the outset, and you reward yourself. It might be every time maybe a story or word came up and you decided, or you recognized it was there, and you didn't specify it, you didn't express it, you held back, you changed it. Instead of saying something like, don't forget, it might be, I'll remember, or don't, I will, just very simple language shifts. You can do it. It might be what you're telling other people or what you're noticing, or it might be physical saving. If saving is a problem for you, it might be, well, I'm going to save my spare change. Or you can do it digitally now. There are apps out there that you can level up and you can donate to yourself so that you're saving, into an account. Now, I was telling my husband about this, and it turns out he's had this app in place, and he said, I just, over the past year, I've saved $4,000 doing that. And it was like, really? That is really awesome.
Yes.
So, so you can set up the game any way you want, but it's setting it up with focus and with a little bit of discipline, and then measuring your goals and rewarding yourself. And then if you have a slip up, don't punish yourself. Just move forward. Just recognize that and say, okay, I need to make this adjustment here.
So for our audience, I'm going to share a story from my own life about how I play the game of money. So, people talk about that phrase, unconsciously competent. And when you're unconsciously competent, you're doing the right things without realizing it. Well, I was doing this for a while, and then I was like, whoa, I'm doing it. Then I became consciously competent. So let me tell you what I started doing. So what I started to do was I started to literally visualize, using the Abraham Hicks principle, how much money I would have in my business checking account at the end of the week. So every Friday, I would visualize an amount of money. So just like, and I would see it in all the details. So see the money, see the amount, see it like as it would appear in my QuickBooks statement.
Mm-hmm.
And, in any business, you have busier weeks, less busy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I always have that much money in my checking account on Friday without fail. So then I started realizing, wow, I'm doing this with small amounts of money. I should do this with my investments. So every year I pick a number, and I like to pick an angel number. So if you know numerology, and not that I know numerology, but I'll look it up and I'll pick a number and I'll visualize a statement. So when you get your statements, whether it's your bank statements or your savings or investment statements, you're going to get a report, whether it's on an app or a written report. And I visualize that amount. And whether the stock market goes up or down or what have you, I always visualize that amount. And for example, this year, I had an amount that I wanted to be at the end of the year. Well, I surpassed that in mid-June. I had to
Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah. So I love the idea of money as an energy game, the wonderful title of your beautiful book, and having this playful, trusting attitude about it, and just focusing on what you want to see.
Right. And it is amazing, Catherine, because we have so many similarities. As you were saying, okay, I visualize my bank account. I'm saying, oh my gosh, I do that. I do that. And the same thing on the investments. It's like, I do that.
Yeah.
You just expect it to be there. You just, and it's so much fun when it happens. And so, that's great. And it is, it's all in the energy. So put it forward in a positive way, a knowing way, a way that you can anticipate, what's going to happen, or say, I wonder how. You can wonder how it's going to happen without forcing it. Or wouldn't it be lovely? Wouldn't it be lovely if my investments grew by 20%? Wouldn't it be lovely? Just, put something out there and just go with it.
Yeah. And going back to the game aspect, wouldn't it be fun?
Wouldn't it be fun? Wouldn't it be fun? Yes.
Yeah.
And you can play the game with other people. You can play it in your office. You can play it with your family. You can do it by yourself. Yeah, and what we say is just pick one aspect to start, one thing that you'd like to get a little bit better with, and go with that. And then add another one in. Don't, stay away from, I have to change all of these things at once. Your 40-day affirmation, that is so awesome because that's how we change habits. Habits change, say, over a 30-day period. So 40 is really reinforcing it. You can change one habit. So if you did that, you could change, 10, 12 habits a year, every year, and make huge progress.
Now, Peg Donahue, Feng Shui master, co-author of Money is an Energy Game. Any final thoughts for our audience?
Well, my final suggestion is to find something to be happy about every day. And that makes life so much easier, and every day so much easier. And then you'll be healthier, more joyful. Life will flow along. You'll have much more synchronicity, and also to pay attention to those synchronicities that come in every day. They are there. They're abundant. They're all around us, and give thanks for them when you notice them. And then they replicate. More and more happen all the time.
Great information. You've been listening to the Natural Healing Show for UK Health Radio. I'm your host, Catherine Carrigan, medical intuitive healer, Amazon #1 bestselling author. You can find out more about me and my work at catherinecarrigan.com and unlimitedenergynow.com. While you're there, definitely sign up for my newsletter so you can learn even more about how you can heal yourself naturally. Our guest today has been the very incredibly helpful Peg Donahue, Feng Shui master, co-author of Money is an Energy Game, the book. And you can find out more about Peg Donahue and her life-changing work at her website, fengshuiconnections.com, and the book's website, moneyisanenergygame.com. And remember that as you cultivate your personal chi, as you take care of your health and you raise your own vitality, that's going to support everything that you do with your money and business. And as you pay attention to the energy, you can build your abundance naturally. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.